Mopar Maniac back with a Mopar mishap. Got all the heads on and everything. Put them on, look good. Got them painted. They're off again. Head gaskets are back off. Parts came in, got excited. What did I do? Slapped the head gaskets on the wrong side. So we'll address that later. Get that all buttoned up. Push rod in. Let's go ahead and finish that assembly. The only reason I had to order one was because I had one missing. The rest of them checked out. They were all straight and good. So go ahead and snag those in there, and I will let you know the exhaust ones are the long ones and the intakes are the short ones. This will tell you here. This is the difference. There's about 2 inches of difference between the two. So pretty easy to keep track of. I checked them all. They look good. No abnormal wear. So we'll get those in there and onto the shafts. Okay, push rods are in. Of course, the intake, the shorter ones go up here on this, and the exhaust ones go here just so they can reach around and grab these exhaust valves. So we'll get the shafts on and move on. Okay, installing the rocker shafts can be a little tricky. You got to make sure that you get the rocker arms on the valve springs. So I like to drape them over and then pull them across, and I'll show you that in a second. But the intake are marked with an I. And as long as the intake are on the intake side, it doesn't really matter where they go. But getting these push rods up here, just kind of ease them into this. I have to loosen that up just a tickle. You just need ease down there, and then tighten them down. Same with, just make sure they're all, the push rods are seated into that rocker arm, and you're good to run them down by hand, and we'll use a speed wrench here in just a second. Okay, now a trick that I have seen with these is you just take your shaft, just kind of roll it up. You may have to work it a little bit. And when I put this together, I know there's some used valve springs, but I put some Lucas assembly lube on the end of the valve stems where the rocker arms are going to sit, just because whenever things do start up and it doesn't get any oil, I don't want anything to interfere with that. So used or not, they're going in there with dry, so the Lucas assembly lube is always a good idea. I used it instead of the normal because this is a little more runny than the lubriplate that we used on the bearings. Lubriplate's great. It's really slick. It won't go anywhere, but this is a little runny, so this is going to run down the valve springs and oil anything that needs oiled before startup. One thing you need to be careful with is as you torque these down, make sure, so this feels tight, but if you look, the rocker shaft is not flush with the rocker shaft mounting ports. So just kind of run them down, even them out. Okay, so that one's snug. Move on to the next one. Just do that until they're evenly tightened down on these rocker studs when it's flush like this one, and then you can torque them per sequence. It starts here in the center and then work your way out at 195 inch-pounds. Don't start torquing until this is seated. Now we're back on the timing. I've got a new phaser here. I tried to use the old phaser, but it was so stretched and so worn out that I actually could not. So to use this, you use this clamp that comes with the kit, and you clamp it here to take pressure off the spring inside. You loosen this bolt one turn, and then the rest of them come out all the way. I'll get those out of there for you. And you twist this to see the internals. Step is placing some thread locker on this Allen key and threading it into this cam phaser with a 5/32 and a ratchet. Now once you get your set screw in there. It drops in this hole right here, just northwest of this little guy, this little notch, directly across from this. It's right here. Then you're going to want to get the proper Allen key, the 5/32, and tighten it down until the lock plug does not move. Just like so. Mine took a little persuasion. I don't know if this was because it was an aftermarket cam phaser or what, but it was a little tight in there. So I had to just use a little persuasion to get it in, but it fits in there nice. And then when you go to put this plate on, the screw that's got the shaft on the end is not like the rest. It goes right here in this hole. So remember that when you put it back together, if you didn't pay attention when you took it apart. The instructions tell you, but just wanted to tell you that it doesn't tell you until the end. So I wanted to go ahead and throw that in there before you get them all in there. So get this in there and get it on the timing. Alright, the golden moment here. When installing the cam phaser onto the camshaft plate, make sure this little tab is in this little slot, and then you can put the bolt in. Now, when installing the cam sprocket, number one, top dead center, there's a little notch right here. Make sure it's up 12 o'clock high, and you can run this bolt down and tighten it up. Now that you got the chain, line those marks up on the chain, and then there is a little dimple in this gear. You want to put these up there and that, and then we'll get the tensioner assembly on and oil pump. Tensioner assembly is installed. I'm going to put a little disassembly lube on this. I like this better on the chains and the guide so that it has a little bit of run. Alright crew, we got the heads on. New head gaskets are on. Don't have new head bolts yet. Just put a couple of the old used ones in for now just to hold it solid. Got the oil pump on. And if you don't realize it already, I use the stock pressure, stock volume. The comments are going to scream about it, but listen, I don't need a high volume or high pressure oil pump in a muscle car that's going to be running $3,000 on the highway, maybe more on a 2-lane, depending on the gear ratio. So this oil pump is going to be sufficient for anything that we're going to do with it. It's not running 8th gear at 1500 RPM on the highway or idling a whole lot. It's going to be running, and it's going to be running hard no matter where it goes. So, that being said, the standard volume, standard pressure was fine. Got the melling made in USA. I didn't want to go cheap on the pump at least. You know, it was 120 bucks, I think. So, you can get the cheapo eBays, but I'm not going to go that route for the oil pump. That being said, everything is tight. Choop. Pulled the pin. Wait 5 seconds. Boom. Oh, nope. That's something else maybe. Alright. All the push rods are back where they're supposed to go. That should tie us up. Get some gaskets for this timing cover. Get it on there next time you see it. It should be pretty buttoned up. And then we'll be on to waiting on a pickup tube. We'll get one of those some other time. No big hurry for that. I got a bunch of other personal things to take care of. And then eventually we'll probably have to pull it out from the bottom the way I put it in. The reason it don't have to come out from the bottom, it's because it's tight in here. You're not going to pluck this up from the top without hitting that brake master cylinder. It's just going to be real tight no matter what you do. And plus the headers, there's long tube headers. If you can't see them, they're there. You're going to have to take my word for it. They're tucked in pretty nice in there. Best way to do it's the way Chrysler intended. Pop it right out the bottom. Again, I want to reiterate, thanks to those of you that spotted the head gasket flip. That was a good catch. I also caught it, but I haven't had time to address it by the time I got to the comments. But it happens. We're human. At least I caught it now instead of on initial startup or something. But I appreciate the feedback. The channel's doing awesome. Didn't expect it to go this far, this fast. Comment, like, subscribe. Let's carry on. It's a discussion board too. If you go to the comments, talk amongst yourselves, talk amongst me, I'll be there trying to answer them all. Let's keep it going. Thanks, guys.